we did the all-around vase arrangement like this that you'll do for an assignment. Now I'm going to show you something different using Oasis, okay? This is a foam material that soaks up water. So we would take this, put it in my water that has the bleach and the sugar in, and let it soak. When it's fully soaked like this, you cut it to fit your vase, which I've done. I put it in, and you can start arranging, but sometimes when they're not real deep, they'll fall out. So you want to tape that Oasis in. Now, what do I call the Oasis, the tape, and the vase? Those are my mechanics. So when they talk about your mechanics in flower arranging, that's this, my Oasis, my tape, and my vase, okay? So my mechanics are done. Now I want to cover this Oasis because you don't want anyone to see it when they're sitting at the table. So when you get your leather leaf, like this, you would cut off all your little fronds, and you're going to use those to cover the Oasis, okay? So I'm going to take these, shear down the stem and cut them, and I'm going to put them in the side like that, so that as they're in the arrangement, they're soaking up moisture and they're not going to dry up while it sits on the table when people are eating. So you always have to make sure the greens are in the Oasis, because the purpose of the Oasis is to put hydration into the flower stems, okay? Because if you don't hit it and you just stick it between the Oasis and the vase, it's gonna just shrivel up and dry, and you'll notice it right away. So I've covered the mechanics, right, with my greens, but I still have it up here. So put a few up on top because this is showing, and you're gonna put flowers in there. And it's usually a little easier to cover it without the flowers in than with the flowers not. So I cut them apart, cover my mechanics, and then we start putting in our flowers. Now, like I told you, the normal ratio of flower arranging is 1.5 times your vase is your tallest flower. So in this situation, 1.5 times would be, here's 1, and now I got to go up halfway to here. So that's going to be my tallest, okay? So I'm going to cut it off and put it in. And now you're going to start stepping your flowers down. Now there's 3 kinds. There's an all around, which is like the one we did earlier in here. No matter how you turn it, it's covered. Or there's a 3-point formal or 3-point informal. So the informal arrangement is when you take your center, put in a side one at a different length, and put in another side one at another length. All 3 lengths are different and placed wherever. That's 3-point informal. A 3-point formal would be taking your flowers, gotta be careful with that too, taking your flowers and making them all the same length. So this one's got I don't have 3 the same, so I'm gonna cut this one down a little. This one's the same, so I put that in here directly to the left, and I do the same size directly to the right, so that my 3 points are equal in length. You see more of those in funeral work. In your everyday work, you're going to see more of the shorter all around on a table. But if you're doing an arrangement coming into a house and they're having a table of food, you don't need anything on the back. You just need the front, because they're going to come along the front, grab their food, and go. So you can save flowers on the back by simply putting in greenery like this. Covering up the back with greens, which I put a large one and a couple small ones. And now I'm going to start working on my arrangement to the front. I'm not going to put all my flowers equal out. You're going to step down. So if it's this tall, I don't want to put another one that tall. I want to be about that much shorter. See, you're always going to step down about 1 inch until you're to the base. And you're trying to get down to these, your 2 sides. So it's easier to do a 3-point informal where you take all 3 in a different size. My shorter one would be over here. My longer one would be here. And my top one here. And now I would fill in. It's kind of hard to arrange backward, but I'll do it for you guys. You're gonna get the idea of how we're gonna just step down. Make sure the flowers are going at different heights. And another thing, each flower should always show its own face. So if you've got flowers in there that are covering another one, that means it's too full. Don't waste money on putting too many flowers in an arrangement. Always make sure each flower is being seen. And what do you see here? A spot, right? So we gotta put one in there. Did you see any other spots? You could do one here and a small one here, but if you're putting in a ribbon on, I would do that here. And a small one here would be like a bud. See how the bud is in there? And then you can also put another bud up in here if you wanted. But now we need to cover the stems. We're gonna take our greenery and work our way inside to cover our stems. And that's when the arrangement is gonna look complete, when you're taking the greens here, covering your stems up, getting greenery in. And don't be afraid to use greens. Why? Because the greens are your cheapest part. So if you want the arrangement to look really full, don't be afraid to take those greens and put them in there. Use a lot of different texture. You know, maybe I want to take some Floral and put that in. Look at the different texture and the different color of the greenery I'm putting in there, as well as filling in with tree fern. That's wispy. Go in here and look at how that color tone helps. And as you do it, your flowers will move. Just put your flowers back in place. And I would take another Floral probably and put it in here because I like that color tone. And then when you're done, if you have a ribbon you want to put on it, make that and put it in the front. Or you can take baby's breath like this and fill in with spots. Let's say I've hit my dollar amount on flowers and now I just got to put fillers in to fill in my holes. And that's what the baby's breath is going to be for. You cut it apart. Don't use big clumps. And don't take your baby's breath and have it out like this, way outside the flower. This is a cheap part of your arrangement. Do not make it the highlight. Your highlight are your flowers that you're paying for, okay? So always take your baby's breath and tuck it down in a little more. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask Mr. Telford because he does this really well.